It's my privilege and pleasure to speak to all of you today, and really congratulations to all of the nominees in all of the categories. I'm in my 11th year in this district, and I can tell you from my heart that every day I wake up, I enjoy what I do. I look forward to meeting with the great kids in this district. It's a district with such strong parental support. I have such talented colleagues, including, I must say, my team teacher, Elise Simcock, and some of my partners in crime in the social studies department. And really tremendously supportive administrators, among them Bill Wiesbrook, Jackie Thornton, and Carrie McFadden. And so, along the theme of Indonesia, which is where Bali is located, it's part of the archipelago, I'm going to start here, and I felt compelled to give this a title, if not a target. So I'm calling this from Madex to Bangka here, and I'm going to start here. This, if you're not familiar, is a mosque or a masjid which belongs to Islam. And in the right-hand corner there, at least it's right to me, I hope it is to you, you see a pretty tall tower there. And this is what is called a minaret. Okay. And this particular mosque is located, if you see the little red, I guess that's a circly thing there, that's where Bangka is located. So it's an island in the East Java Sea, and this is where this mosque is located. And in the right-hand side here, you see this minaret, and I teach two classes primarily at Naperville Central. I teach world cultures, and I teach comparative religions. I've also taught anthropology, and whenever I talk about Islam or this part of the world or other parts of the world that you find masjids and minarets, I always tell my kids I will climb one of those things one day. And so on this particular day, a couple years back in the summer of 2013, I finally got my chance. And after I'll back up so you're not like, whoa there. After asking the imam, which is the leader of a priest-like figure in Islam, if I could do it, he sort of gave me this kind of confused grin, a little glint in his eye. Then there was a frantic search for the key. And before you know it, I was off and running, and didn't quite know what I bargained for. If you can see here, this is not quite stairs, not quite a ladder. Indonesia is a really humid place, and it's about 105 that day. And for cultural purposes, you have a choice of a sarong, which actually I got to kind of like, to tell you the truth. I felt like after I should be wearing it to the pool. But anyway, you got a choice of a sarong or jeans, and so I was 105 degrees outside when I got in this thing. You're talking about probably about 120 degrees, really humid, all sorts of spiders and lizards I'd never seen. Did finally make it to the top, and this is what it looks like from the top. And this was actually the tallest minaret on the island, and you can see the top of the masjid or the mosque there. And I did manage to practice my selfie skills at the top. You can see they're still developing. Okay? It's extremely shameful in front of 9th and 10th graders when you see this sort of selfie, when you're sort of looking at the middle of the phone instead of the camera. Anyway, when I got down carefully, there was a group of students there, a group of kids, and they materialized. They hadn't been there before. The imam was there as well. You can see the imam, that cute little guy on my right hand there. I asked the translator, like, what's going on here? Where did all these people come from? Why are they there? And he asked the imam, and that same sort of wide smile with the glint came back. And he said, no one's ever climbed this thing since it's been built. It's built 30 years ago, and they wanted to see if, inshallah, God willing, you would make it down, and this crazy foreigner would survive. Okay? So, the reason I start with this story is I want to tell you that this was an impossible future for me as a kid. for a couple of reasons, and this is the namesake of the title. This is where I grew up. Okay, I see some nods out there, which is extremely strange to me. Any takers? Anybody hear of Bad X before? Okay, all right, woo. Okay, so you can see Bad X is there where all the roads sort of stop, and you got just that blank space right there. That's Bad X, and the only reason it was settled was because an axe literally broke, and the settlers were forced to stay there, right? So. Accidentally. So it was an impossible future for me for a couple of reasons. First, because Bad X was really what I would call a diversity desert, right? So very homogenous in terms of religion. Really, you didn't even think about different ethnic groups. They were basically invisible. So the idea of going to Indonesia or learning about Islam, or just very outside the radar. The second reason that it was an impossible future for me was because elementary teachers, I'm sorry in advance here, I was that kid, okay? And what I mean by this is my diagram of second grade here, okay? And I'm gonna show you where I sat here, okay? Mrs. Olson, great Mrs. Olson, but poor Mrs. Olson, okay? And I'm drawing here a radius on purpose, because one of the things I never forgot about that class was what a radius is. Because she'd often repeat, like, 5-foot radius, right? And so, by the time I got to 5th grade, the district had actually invested in a special partition for me. So, I could see the Mrs. Kasserman, but no one could see me, okay? So individualized learning right there, okay? And so, given this background, and most teachers who thought, you know, this guy, I don't know what's going to become of him, I did have great parents who, you know, in addition to being annoyed that I was sitting away from everybody else, really pushed me and encouraged me to dream. And in the middle of 8th grade, we moved to Chicagoland. And the Chicago is the opposite of a diversity desert. And I had outstanding teachers that really influenced me. I got to take classes, I went to Prospect, I got to take classes like anthropology in comparative religions. And I had one particular teacher, I kind of kept to myself, quiet, didn't say much, and she was my English teacher. And back in those days, teachers, well, we all still drink coffee, but there was also a lot of smoking, right? The teacher's lounge. And she would, it seemed like every single day, she would lean over, you know, in that uncomfortable sort of way, and I'd smell the smoke breath and the coffee breath. But she'd say over and over the gifts that she believed I had, right? Just in my ear until I believed them. And if you think about, you know, your life or the lives of your students, right? It only takes one or two really good comments to carry you throughout your life. And this comment carried me all the way through high school, all the way through college, all the way to a graduate degree in anthropology, and it really still carries me today in the things that I do with my students when I deal with that kid as well, really, because those kids need every bit as much of this attention as any kid. And so I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what I do as a teacher, and I'll focus a little bit on comparative religions here. One of the things I like to do is really immerse students in the traditions and cultures around them and give them a first-hand experience. And you can see here, I believe this is the class of 2011. This is really within about 40 miles you can get to any religion you can imagine, any culture you can imagine. This is a temple in Bartlett. And the reason for doing this is a Sikh Gurdwara, is a kid will never be able to think about Hinduism without thinking about being in that temple, right? A kid will never be able to hear a tragedy like happened in Milwaukee in a Sikh Gurdwara without thinking about the time they were served a longer meal by the Baisab, which is what these guys here in the turbans. And you'll never be able to think about Judaism without thinking about a visit to the temple, yeah, I don't know what you're thinking about here. Okay, this actually is a Shaolin center run by a Shaolin monk. You'll never be able to think about your phone in the same way after you've had a Dharma talk from a Buddhist nun who talks to you about how social media is related to wanting and what's called dukkha. So these experiences are tremendously valuable. You see them looking at the Torah here. But I want to go and tell just a little bit more. One of the things I've developed for my students are activities that I call lived experience experiments. And really this is what I guess a social studies teacher would call a lab. And what I ask students to do is live out some aspect of the culture or religion that we're studying. And usually they do this with parents. And this video I'm going to show you here in just a minute actually came to me from a colleague with whom I had shared this. And it was just a real honor to get this video in the mail. And what she's going to talk about here is a lived experience experiment on Shabbat. And Shabbat it translates as Sabbath, and it's really a day without work, and a day to unplug and focus on your own family. And so what I ask teenagers to do is totally unplug for one whole day and connect with their family, that's an assignment in itself. Okay? So the touching part about this is the emails and letters you get back from students and parents about this experience and what it did for them. And some of them continue to carry it on monthly from then on. So if I can't play this video, if you could hit play here.
Hi, I'm Alex, and this is what my dad had to say about Shabbat. Shabbat to me was very relaxing. Not only did I feel closer to the faith, I felt more importantly closer to my family. The unrushed meals were fantastic. In today's world, we are always stressed during the week. We don't take that time to sit and talk. What I enjoyed learning the most was my family. Not only did I listen to what they were saying, I found that I actually heard what they were saying. I heard the good, the bad, and the ugly. I heard opinions about the different situations going on in the world today. I heard their fears, their joys, and I heard the most beautiful sound of all. I heard their laughter. The world would be a better place if everyone took a Shabbos, even if it was just once a month. It doesn't matter if you believe in Judaism, believe in your family. Turn the phone off, turn the TV off, turn your family on. Treat your family like you're crossing the street. Stop, look, and listen.
Coming from a teenager, holy, my goodness, I mean, beautiful. One other I wanted to tell you about is, and I'm sure parents will see the benefit of this one as well. In the Hindu tradition, God is in image form or in statue form, and that image is called a murti. So some people think about this as an idol, and really what it is a place where God comes to dwell. Not unlike a church, or if you're Orthodox or Catholic, the communion wafer, right? God comes to dwell in that, sort of this Wi-Fi hotspot for God, if you will. And so because God can be present as an image, right, you can show your love and adoration for that image. And that adoration is called bhakti. And I wanted to give students a feel for what that love and devotion is. And so I thought, how can I do this in a secular, non-religious way? And what I came up with was, I thought, I'm going to have them totally love, adore, and devote themselves to their parents for 2 straight hours, right? So one-way devotion, right? Just total love. You can't just watch a movie together or go somewhere together. Like, that kid has to be actively loving that parent or that person in their life, not a girlfriend, by the way, or boyfriend, for 2 hours straight. So I have to admit to you that I'm going to read you a little bit of Hiba. Hiba's on the left here, and her father is on the right. I'm going to read you a little bit about from Hiba's Hinduism League. Okay? And I have to admit to you, I kept this because I thought it was just great. It really tickled me. So here goes. I decided to choose the path of devotion, bhakti yoga. I devoted myself to my father. He is very influential. He is a very influential person in my life, and I think he needs a little appreciation. During this experiment, I was able to completely devote myself to my father for a full 2 hours. The way I devoted myself to my father was a little different. My father, sadly, had read the handout you gave us ahead of time. Instead of me doing the things that I thought would make him happy, he decided he wanted to tell me the things that would make him happy. The first thing my father told me to do was put lotion on his feet. Okay? And I can tell you as a little aside, Hiba is Sunni Muslim, right? And she's doing this Hinduism lived experience experiment. After about 10 minutes of pretending to try to get the lotion out of the bottle, I had to put the lotion on his feet. It wasn't that bad. I was given the option of wearing gloves. So for about a half an hour, I was putting lotion on my dad's feet with gloves. But soon he got tired of the constant rubbing of lotion and had decided that I was done with the lotion part. And now it was time for a nice long massage. That massage part wasn't that bad either. I still wore gloves. During the massage, my dad started to fall asleep, and I thought, oh, this is my chance. I can get up and leave, and then I can just say I gave him a massage for an hour. But no, I couldn't. My lovely brother had decided he was going to watch over me while I did this experiment. At one point, he even said, Hiba, while you're at it, you might as well give me a massage too. So for about 45 minutes, I struggled with massaging my dad's feet, and I'm thinking nothing can be worse than this. And just like every other time, I said the exact same line to myself, it did get worse. My dad, feeling incomplete, said, Hiba, I would really feel loved if you clipped my toes. Well, all I could say was yes, because he was waving in his hand and pointing to the parent verification part of the handout you gave us. So for about 15 minutes, I cut his nails. Thank God I was wearing my glasses because there was nail shrapnel flying everywhere. When I was finally done cutting his nails, I still had 15 minutes left. My dad said he wanted me to read the newspaper to him. I have no idea what pleasure he finds in me reading the newspaper to him, but he just does. So I read about Vladimir Putin in Letters to the Editor. All in all, I think my father felt loved. Because throughout this experiment, my father kept saying, I love Mr. Brady. Tell him to do this more often. God bless Mr. Brady. So the last thing I'm going to talk about here is, this is called a mandala. This comes from the Buddhist tradition. And if you look at the dead center there, in Buddhism, this is a meditational model. It's also a view of the universe. But that typically is nirvana, or where you're sort of the state you're trying to get. And those petals, sort of petals of a lotus, are typically helper deities called bodhisattvas. And then on the outer perimeter, you have in kind of where the T's are, above the T-shaped things, you have kind of obstacles. And so I had a class once, these are typically made of sand, and this one here actually is made of sand. Tremendously beautiful if you've seen them before. And I had a class who wanted to do this. They came to me and they showed me in one hand a little tiny map pin. And they said, we want to make a mandala out of this. And so they designed a mandala. You'll see in this short video here, you'll see the obstacles like social media and stress and keeping a healthy balance. You'll see actually, and I promised you I didn't prompt this, the helper deities are the district's mission statement, along with activities and things like this. And this was time-lapsed by an outstanding art student named Mark Hurrian. Before I hit play on this, though, I do want to thank everyone in this district again, and a special thank you to my family. I know we all know that this job, the clock, really never stops, and it's a sacrifice for the members of our family, both in terms of time and attention. And so I really appreciate that sacrifice on behalf of my family. And with that, I'll let this play, and that'll be it.